I like my brain to get bored. So I don't when I'm like doing the dishes or walking the dog, I don't listen to podcasts or music because my brain is bored. It needs to entertain itself, so it starts doing stuff. It gets creative. So I get my best riffs from when I'm bored, basically.
What's up, everybody? This is Ojayy. I'm here with Jensen of The Haunted. Jensen, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, thanks.
I am very excited to talk to you. It's been a minute since your last record. Strength in
Yes.
Numbers came out in 2017.
Yeah.
About, I guess, that thing happened for a while, so nobody was doing nothing. And then
Yeah.
everybody else had, the At the Gates thing took off for a minute. How long was this record ready? Or did you guys just have extra time to record this or write
No,
it?
so this is going to be a long answer, so I hope you have a lot of hard drive space. Actually, the other day I noticed that the folder that we have on Dropbox, it says album 2020. So we were only, going to wait 3 years until we had the new album out after Strength in Numbers. But Jonas wrote one At the Gates album and then another At the Gates album. I managed two Witchery albums in between. I also had this idea that, when The Haunted started out, we always wrote everything in the rehearsal space like everyone did. I mean, there were no computers back then. And it was a special blend because we've always been three main songwriters. So, people can, ideas shoot back and forth and, it's a creative brainstorming kind of thing. And that's when I think we create the best music because it's everyone contributes, and also I'm not a fan of the rigid style that a computer brings with you have to play along to a certain BPM, and then the next riff you come up with doesn't work. But if you had been with the guys, a good band will make it work. Sometimes it doesn't, but oftentimes you'll just move into the different tempo. But instead of throwing all those riffs away because they don't work. Anyway, Exit Wounds and Strength in Numbers, they were both written on the computer. We all live in different cities. Adrian lives in London, so since '99, since he joined Cradle of Filth. So I had this idea that we're going to meet up, me and Adrian. We're just gonna jam it for a week and crank out a couple of songs. So I had planned this for 2020, but then, that thing happened, so no one could go anywhere. So he came over in 2021. I had a studio here for 6 days. We set everything up, and we're going to start fresh the following day. He comes down with a bad tummy bug that night. I mean, it's bad. So he's on my couch, knocked out. And then 3 days later, I, of course, get it because it's a tummy bug. And so those 6 days, they just disappear. Adrian has to go and take everything down and fly back home without us having played a single minute. So that kind of put a flat tire on everything. So moving up to 2023, I work with making guitar plugins. I lead the guitar team, which means that I decide what amps to do, what cabs, what mics, what producers to work with to record the cabs and so on, and colors, all the buttons and effects, and especially when it sounds right. That's when I say, okay, this is good for a release. So we were doing this plugin for a Engel Savage amp, and that was done in last year in March, and I sat at home trying it out. And noticed that I could play like I was in the rehearsal space, like I was sitting next to my physical Engel amp. And all of a sudden, these riffs started to come out. I mean, I get the question during these interviews for the album that you guys sound like you did back then, like in the early days. And I said it's no different mindset. I just didn't know that I needed a different tool to play through to just because I'm the kind of guy. If I have a guitar sound that sounds like whatever Rolling Stones, it'll be Rolling Stones riffs, or if it's AC/DC, or if it's super thick and heavy, it'll be Caius. So whatever guitar plugin I had prior to this, that was what I got out of it. And I didn't know I was held back by not having the right tool for me. So all of a sudden, I could start writing riffs again like I was, on the first album. So between March and end of summer, so say September, I had written 11 songs for the album. Ola always has music ready because he writes stuff for his YouTube thing. So he always has songs ready to go. Jonas hadn't written anything because he was burnt out and he was a bit, I guess, disillusioned. So many years have gone. He saw it as a Herculean task to write the album. So, in September, when I was texting the guys that we're going to record this fall, like I have 11 songs, they didn't really believe me. But yeah, eventually Jonas got going too, and that's how the album came about. Yeah, so full disclaimer, I don't work at SoftTube anymore. That put out the Angle Savage plugin, but I recommend you to check it out if you want to play that style. It helped me. Maybe it'll help you. So now there's no need to fly Adrian in. I've already started writing on the next album. So, I don't think there's even going to be 3 years in between. Hopefully just 2 years. We have a lot of time to catch up.
Yeah, this is the 10th record, and you and Jonas have been constantly there the whole way through. And this sounds like, to me sounds like The Haunted. It's like, it feels like this era of the band, this is the third record with this lineup, and it just evokes image. For me, it evokes the early days, as well as some elements of like the later second coming of Dolving. It's got some of those elements there, like I hear it. And this is it's like I was very impressed. I'm very impressed that you guys were able to record digitally, because I was wondering, did you guys do this the old school way, or I guess the new school way of just, hey, you're over there, I'm over here, and you made it work?
That's how we wrote it, but we recorded. Well, the first album, that was just no click. It was just a throwaway guitar playing along to the drums, until the drums are right, and then you start recording. This was the same approach. It was just a writing that had to be done in the computer. A lot of people have told me that this album reminds them of One Killed Wonder. I think that might be because Marco is also singing on that album. and that album also has a thick brutality to it, a thick sound. But like you say, I also think it has elements from Revolver. So it has some kind of mix between Revolver and One Killed Wonder. So it is that era, 2003 through 2005. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there was some songs like to me, it's like the last track on here, Letters of Last Resort. That does harken back to some of the. It sounds like a Dolving era tone. Like, oh, this seems like it would fit on one of those records. Because you guys, I feel like this record couldn't have been made without going through all the records you have made to this point. Some records were extremely heavy. Some had this really hardcore feel to it. Some went in directions I wasn't mentally prepared for at the time. And things grew on me. It's like, oh, these aren't as fast, but they have the mood. You guys have a mood to your overall music that's always been constant. Whether if it's fast or slow, they're just you guys have a vibe. That's the right way to say it.
Yeah, I get asked if we if we have decided on things before we start writing an album. Like I guess bands do that. If it's going to be faster or heavier or whatever, but we've never done that. As a music fan myself, I like the idea of an album being some kind of document where the band was at that point of time. So if you talk about Black Sabbath, like comparing a Sabotage album to Volume 4, you could go, when you nerd out with your buds, like, oh yeah, the first time in an American studio, or those kind of things. So that was where the band was at that point, and that's what I wouldn't say that was a plan to do that. It's just how things worked out with The Haunted. So every album we've done was where the band was at that point. And I like all our albums, and I'm happy that we have different people have different favorite albums. I think that's cool. But yeah, for this album, just because of that plugin again, it brought out my inner 16-year-old again. So it's time to get riffing.
There are some heavy ass riffs on this album, man. I just, it's a well mixed record. Jens did his magic on this as always, and it's like, I I never disappointed in his productions. So I was like, oh yeah, of course I know it's going to sound sonically good in the mix, but damn, you get a good pair of headphones or a good pair of speakers. Damn, the low end on this record is just, it's a full ass record.
I actually think I'm going to blow up my speakers in my car because I crank it when I'm driving. I've done so many interviews, so I don't know what I've already told you, or if I've told the whatever 40 guys before you. But I usually don't listen to my own music because at the point of after you've recorded it, you're so fed up with it because you just lived and breathed it for so long. But with this album, when the mixes came back, we were kind of you know that you have good stuff entering the studio. But when the mixes came back from Jens, it was the first time we heard it with vocals and with solo, and we started to text each other, and we have a WhatsApp group. Like, isn't this sounding really good? Like, yeah, it's not like we were surprised. We were just, I don't know what the right word would be. We were just, this is. I mean, I think everyone played it at the top of the game for this album. So. We are, as a band, we are very proud of this album.
And I gotta compliment the vocals. Like Marco's voice to me sounds timeless. It sounds just as strong as it did 20 some odd years ago when I first heard him. And man, like, I guess he went to Bjorn's studio to record these vocals, and damn, it's like work with another singer at a singer studio. It's just mint.
So this is a string of events. Actually, we recorded the album at the Bohus Studio in Gothenburg, owned by and run by Oscar Nilsson. I had gotten to know him through the Halo Effect because he's recorded their albums. He's a super great guy, and as it turned out, a great The Haunted fan also. So. Me having all those songs done, I was the one kind of the driving force of we're going to record this fall. Even people in the band had their doubts, and November is it. I booked the studio. So when Adrian came in and he put down the drums, Oscar is an old drummer and he loves The Haunted, so he knows what haunted drums need to be like. So he brought out the best of Adrian. When we put down the bass and rhythm guitars, we had a great foundation to build upon. Marco had previously recorded with a guy called Jocke Skog. He was in a band, or is in a band, called Clawfinger that had a big hit back in the day. He did a great job with that, but he had moved from Stockholm. So we were thinking, who's going to record the album or the vocals? We were thinking that maybe since Marco and Ola live in Stockholm, maybe Marco could go to Ola's YouTube studio place and, he has all the stuff there, record the vocals. But being the singer, your instrument is your body, and it's, can be pretty touchy. And if you have a guitar player leaning back, folding his arms and going, you could do that better, that wouldn't fly with Marco. So I had this idea that maybe we could ask Björn, because he lives up there. He records he did all that stuff during the pandemic. So
at
I knew
the
he
movies.
could record. Yeah. So I asked Marco that, would you be into recording with Björn? Because they've known each other for so many years. They respect each other, So I thought it would be a great mix. And I asked Marco, and he was like, "Oh man, I don't know. It would be." It's probably like telling me, like, you're going to be recording rhythm guitars with James Hetfield. Like, man, I don't know. But yeah, so he agreed to it. And, when they sent us the first batch of songs, like 3 songs or something, it sounded amazing. And Marco was super happy. Like we had a meet and greet yesterday in Stockholm, early listening for 20 fans or something. And Marco said that Björn called him on his shit. So when Marco was, this chorus is done. No, it's not, said Björn. I know he can do better, and try this and try that. And Marco was like, oh, okay. And it worked. And, I guess with every song and Marco feeling like this is really working out, every song got to be better and better. So I I think that Marco's never sounded better.
I agree with you 100% on that one. And it's like I've listened to like I've even tracked down some of the face down records he's done. So it's like hey, if I'm a fan of you, I try to go through your whole discography of what you've done. And I was like, okay, Marco is, from that to the Resistance stuff. It's like it's great to hear Marco's voice. Like I'm so used to his attack he has. It's like it's great for me. It's like whenever new Hunt Marco, it's like this is the voice I've missed for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's back. So let's see. I like to call this. It's like look, I need to talk about Warhead. I was like, I love a great song. Like in my head, I just joke into just my own personal joke. It's like, it's like the spiritual successor to Shithead. Like in my ears, like you kind of A and B them back together, and it's a little to me. There's a little okay, you could carry these two songs over to each other.
Yeah.
And you got to work with Patrik Uliasa. Damn it! How do you say it? How do we say his name?
Ulius.
Yeah. Yes, you got to work with him and on that song and Fire Reborn. What took so long to work with him?
Yeah, that's a good question because he's done every band from Gothenburg. Actually, pretty surprising how we've managed to avoid him. Not that we've actively avoided him, but I don't know. And that was also like the same story with Jens Bogren, that At the Gates had worked with him. So Jonas had the connection there with Jens, and same with Patrik. And he said, of course, we need to do something together. And it was really cool. It was fast. I don't know if I think you mentioned that you've recorded a video yourself.
Yeah.
It's very tiring. I mean, when you're on stage playing a show, you do a lot of the music does the talking, but when you're recording a video, you need to be fucking headbanging like constantly for I don't know how many hours. It's bad. But he was so professional. He had so many cameras, so he captured so many angles at once. So, we did maybe 2 or 3 playthroughs, and that was one video.
He's been doing this for so long himself. He's been doing this for like 30 years. So of course it's going to be quick with him.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite. He's like one of my favorite directors out there of this genre. It's like, of course, it's like I can guess 99% of the bands from your area he's worked with at some point or another, and it just took you guys a minute to get to him.
There's going to be, I mean, the album is out this Friday. There's going to be a third video released on Friday. So
awesome. Then I should hurry up and edit this video. So let me get back to a fun part of this record for me is you have a great logo. Your logo is phenomenal, and your covers are always had some great covers. And you've worked with, I forgot his name at this exact second, Andreas.
Yes.
Andreas Peterson. Like, how did you start working with it? Because this goes all the way back to, like, did he design the logo?
He's a childhood friend of mine. Okay. So he got into designing early. He even did. I was in a band called Satanic Slaughter, and which turned into Witchery. But he did the album cover for that. So he went to art school, I guess you call it, at the most prestigious art school in Sweden. Won a scholarship, went to New York, actually, and did his internship there at some kind of mega, whatever, ad company. So he's worked with big company names here in Sweden. He's even, these guys have an idea for a bank. He comes up with the name and the homepage, the logo, the branding, everything. Andreas is also even, he came up with the title, The Haunted Made Me Do It. I mean, he's a great arts guy. So he does all this, banks and whatever, and he loves to do the haunted stuff because it's so crazy to him, So when we started the band, I asked him that, we need a logo that. This is what I told him: we need a logo that everyone between 8 and 80 can read. So he made it in huge block letters, and he put the shadow guy there. Then the second thing I said that people need to be able to see that it's a haunted album. Back then you had CD walls in music stores. Like if you're, I don't know, 30 feet away from the wall, you need to see, must be a haunted album. So he put it in the middle of the cover. No, that's, total concept branding thinking. like you would, like if you're going to sell a new brand of, I don't know, soda or something, you see from afar that it has to be that soda. And, which actually worked out when having the logo in the middle, we did, or actually, Earache did a compilation album called Warning Shots, where, they took the songs from the three first albums and the live album. So he just cut the cover in 4 pieces and put it together, and the logo just it centered. It worked still. So he's an amazing guy, and he was actually with the meet and greet I mentioned earlier. He was actually there as the kind of the sixth member. So these 20 fans that had won the early listening thing, they were pretty stoked to get to meet him.
Yeah, his covers are just he's a great designer. He's got a wonderful eye, and like again, I've seen his work on the Haunted records as well as all those Witchery covers. Yeah, it's I don't know. I got no bad words to say to him, but just man, like I see why you work with him, like because these covers they go together, but they don't go together. It's not like all right, they have their own unique voice. Like every record, like yeah, it's a time capsule. Every record captures that moment in time, and like the covers are to me just paintings. It's like, oh, this would be a great you can hang this picture, you can hang this on the wall. It's all wall hangable artwork covers to me.
Yeah, and his albums, because he's so good at what he does, it became a branding of the whole. All his album artwork. They kind of, like you say, they're different, but they have something in common, and they also differ from other bands. I don't think other bands have kind of the artwork that we do, which is a good thing. He also pointed out something, because him and I brainstorm a lot when we do the artwork, like. Because we start with a white sheet of paper, and okay, what are we going to do for this one? And he asks me, what's the song, what's the lyrics about, and so on. But he pointed out something that I hadn't thought about. The first album is mainly about personal rage, and it has a black cover, and then the fire. And then the second album was about serial killers. And then it just went from there. And then Strength in Numbers was about, fascist states, about, control of the masses. And this one is about, well, warhead and, the fear of nuclear war and so on. So it's been in kind of like a level up all the time, like an escalation. And I hadn't seen that connection before, which also brings the question, like, what would be the topic after nuclear holocaust? And maybe someone suggested that, well, because you're called The Haunted, maybe it would be about ghosts, because that's what would be left. Like, all right, well, maybe.
There was this old Hanna-Barbera cartoon from like the late 60s called Thundar the Barbarian. I think that would probably be what it's about. It's kind of like everything's in ruins. It's like a century past the bombs and the destruction of the world. And it's like people, kind of Tarzan-ish, and like mutant creatures just like surviving in that world. And it's like, oh yeah, what is this? And it's like, oh, it's like an old TV. They don't know what it is because they've never experienced certain things. So that you'd see like certain items from that we would recognize. They're like, oh yeah, like I don't know what this is. Or they're calling it something else because to them, it's not what we use it for. So there's an idea for
maybe
you.
Post apocalyptic world or something, like a Mad Max theme.
Yeah, but far flung into the future though. Can't make it too close because we don't need that mental trauma.
No.
So we're in your 20 plus years with Century Media Records. So far, so good. Oh, what makes them the right home for The Haunted?
They've always been super cool towards us. The people that we've worked with, the A&Rs we've only had 2 A&Rs, and they've really cared about the band. We were very fortunate to get on Century Media. Actually, I don't think we would leave for any other label, to be honest. We feel at home there, and they take good care of us. So
cool. And speaking of, since you've been there for 20 years with them, this year is the anniversary of a record we spoke about earlier. This is the 25th anniversary of Made Me Do It, which blows my mind. because I remember that was like the record of the decade for me. Where when that record came out, I was like, this intro, everything on that record was life at that time. There was nothing more. I was like, there was a haunted Kool-Aid. I was drinking it back in the day, and that record was that record holds such a special place in my heart just because I've seen you guys play so much around that time, and I caught at the tail end of the first album cycle, and I gotta say, man, it's like those songs still hold up. I listened to it like the other week, and I was like, yeah, like these songs are timeless, and I'm very glad I got to see them in those days, and I can't wait to see it again when you guys get to America. It's been a minute. I know you guys did that boat cruise a couple years ago, but we need to get the Haunted back to America or I need to get my ass overseas because I miss you guys.
We also did Maryland Death Fest.
Oh,
That
yes.
was too, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, America was our second home. I mean, the year we toured the most, we were out 8 months that year, and I'm sure more than half of it was spent in the U.S. So we've done a ton of shows there. So of course we want to go back.
And I know we're popping up on festivals and whatnot. And I guess with the anniversary of that record, do we have any like thoughts of anniversary shows with that record, or 27 for the first record, and hell, like One Kill Wonder is 22 years. Like any special plans to commemorate anything?
It might be because festival season here in Europe, especially after COVID, it all gets booked between September and November the year before. So right when one season ends, that's when you start booking for the next. So when our first single came out in March, no one knew that we had a new album coming out, and I guess no one knew what it was going to sound like. So for this summer, we've had to get on the festivals that still had slots available. So actually 26 will be our festival summer for this album, but we have a ton of shows this fall. So we're going to Japan and stuff. So we're going to be doing a lot of shows, and we'd love to come back to the US, of course. But about special anniversary gigs, we haven't spoken about this for this year because it's been so long since we put out a new album that we really need to show that we're still alive and doing well. But next year is actually the 30th anniversary of forming the band, and I've been thinking on what to do because we still got a year. Like it was in July 27th, 1996. Me and Adrian rehearsed the first time, so I'm thinking like, what could we do? Maybe a hometown show. But what would you play? Because it's the anniversary of the band. You can't really focus. If you focus on all albums, it'll be like a normal gig. You play the best song. Or would we do a live album maybe? After like an anniversary thing. Or if you got any good ideas, I'm all ears.
I think I like me personally. Like I was like, yeah, you can play it's become like standard now to like, oh, here's the whole record from front to back. Here's the first record. It's like, oh, you could. I think what Testament did just now is like they did like a evening with tour right now. So it's just them. You guys could do like an anniversary show in your hometown. It's like, hey, do 2 or 3 songs from each record, and in between it's like, hey, this is what we were at. This is where we were at this moment. This is the change that they talked about, like, where they were at that time between each record. So maybe something like that would be cool. Cause that was cool hearing like stories from like, man, when you first did this album, this was blah, 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 blah. We almost didn't do this one. This song almost didn't make the record for whatever reasons, and it made it. And, stuff like that. It was kind of cool just to like hear like, an oral history of the band, basically. Because you guys have a very interesting history. Because everybody's like, it's At the Gates Jr. Are they going to keep playing all the At the Gates songs? I wouldn't, because there was so much of, because there were so many of At the Gates guys in the band when it first formed. You guys kind of got grandfathered into their old record label, their record deal.
Yeah.
So I think something like that would be interesting for like, music nerds and just like, band stuff. Because 30 years is the knowledge you have in your head. Not everybody has that.
That's a good idea, actually, to do. Actually, do it backwards. So start with the newest album, and then so people they get to hear more and more stories that are fewer people have heard to kind of build the suspension. And because with the internet these days, and all the interviews I do for this album, a lot of stuff gets revealed. So it's a good idea actually. Like a 3-hour show. Would you fly over for it?
I got to get my ass back to the DMV. I need to update my passport because it expired and I forgot to renew it, and I got to get this real ID. So once that happens, yeah, just give me a little time. Give me at least 6 weeks. Give me a 6 weeks lead up.
All right.
That would be worth coming out for.
Yeah.
And if you decide to do these anniversary shows, I don't know how cool. I don't know what your relationship are with the former members. Maybe they could show up and say hi for a minute. But are you guys still cool with some of those cats?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could do a show like that. Well, let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to convince the other guys. We have everyone in the band nowadays has a lot going on. So I know, I mean, Ola might be the busiest guy I know with, the guitar brand and YouTube channel and bands and so on. But let's see if we can pull something like that off. It'll be cool, super cool to have old members join in.
Yeah, man, because it's like fun. Like Adrian is the drummer who started the Haunted, but like I've seen Pear with you guys more than anybody. So like that whole that was my era of the band that I don't say fell in love with, but it's the era like I was. Yeah, whatever. The record is the era I fell in love with you guys on. So it's like, certain people just hold a sweet spot in my heart. And like, and having Adrian back in the band, I was like, okay, that's exactly what I would have liked, because it's hard to replace certain people. If you replace, so that's why I'm glad Marco's back. Because it's like, oh man, I couldn't think of I can't hear a third voice singing these songs besides either Peter or Marco.
Yeah, it's difficult when a band changes vocalists, and having a third vocalist would have been a tough sell. So we're very happy that Marco chose to join the band again, and he said he'd love to join the band earlier too, but we had Peter in the band and things were cool, but then when the opportunity came, because he left the band because he had young kids at home and we were on tour so much, and so there was no disagreements or anything. He just had to prioritize. So very happy to have both him and Adrian back in the band.
And it's like,
Ola's a great guy in the band.
So it's like, the chemistry that these three records have is again, it's very similar to the first era lineup, because it's like the like you and Ola work really well together. Like some of your harmonies in here are just okay, all right, just some harmonies in there that just make you smile. It's like, it's like I can't headbang. I'm just like, that's great, man. Like I'm gonna talk about this record a little bit because I need to fanboy out about this new album. Like, what is my favorite track on here so far? It's like, I like the Bleed Out. The Bleed Out. I was like, it's just that song to me, that, like, the album is sequenced great. I feel like the Bleed Out, like, I like the last track, but the Bleed Out could have been the last track because it just has the way it ends with all Adrian's little drum fills and little nuances in there. The way that song just ended, that to me, that's a song I put on repeat. I put that song on repeat more than anything else on this record. But it just something about like those little moments in there that that's the song that, all right, turn off the lights and just hang out in the dark and you can just vibe out to that song.
There's a story behind that song. So that's one of my songs. Like I mentioned earlier that I wrote 11 songs for this album, and usually I do the fast stuff, and then the melodic stuff is handled by Jonas, or Jonas and Anders back in the day. But when I was at song 8 or something, I was thinking, I have written my share of the album. I'm good, but I came up with the first riff when I was out walking the dog. I don't, I like my brain to get bored. So I don't, when I'm like doing the dishes or walking the dog, I don't listen to podcasts or music because my brain is bored. It needs to entertain itself, so it starts doing stuff. It gets creative. So I get my best riffs from when I'm bored, basically. So I came up with this melodic thing and came back inside and got the guitar and this is pretty cool, and started recording it, and then I came up with what is the chorus of the song. It's a 3 harmony a three guitar harmony thing, and we've never had anything like that in with the Haunted. And we within the band we call it the Thin Lizzy part because it has three harmonies. And you know, I was thinking, you know, I have my share of fast stuff. Maybe I should just keep on writing this song. And I finished it, and you know, I really like the vibe of it. And from working with the Halo Effect, they have a guy. There was a Swedish band on Erik called Misery Loves Company, a two-man band, and the guy that did all the keyboards and synthesizers, he's the guy who does all the keyboards and whatever with the Halo Effect. And since I've heard that stuff so much, I mean, we've done 150 shows with Halo Effect. I was thinking that, you know, this could maybe be something for Adrian to also work on. And so send it off to him, and he added a new dimension that we haven't had for the Haunted. We've never had, you know, keyboards or anything in the background before. I mean, we're a man's band, right? But yeah, so that added also something. I've always loved fade out songs because, you know, when I was a kid listening with headphones, if there was a fade out, especially in the last song, I'd be following with you know, the volume knob. Like I want to, you know, the circus is leaving town. I want to go with it, kind of finding out what they're doing. Actually, if you do that with the last song, Forensic, on the first album, if you go all the way to the end, you'll hear that we cut into a pretty famous riff by another band. There's a little Easter egg, if you will. But yeah, so I also ended up writing the lyrics for To Bleed Out. It's a great song. I'm pretty confident that we will play that song live because it's, you know, we need a varied live set anyway, and I think it'll work great. So it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it's like I said, like sequencing is very important, and it's like some records is like front loaded with all the fast stuff, and it's like everything. Some people just like keep the different stuff at the end. I do like that. It is kind of like early in the mix in the set, whatever. It's early in the listing of songs.
Yeah.
So like you get the nice wave, because I feel like your ears need a wave. It's like you don't get tired from this record. You put it on, it's like it doesn't like exhaust you in the first like 20 minutes. Like, oh god, there's still more songs. It's like, okay, cool. You get a chance to breathe and continue this record, and it's like, yeah, because you're going from that to hell. Like, yeah, even Hell is Wasted on the Dead, like that ending. And again, like I'm a big fan of endings, and that's just one of those great yelling, screaming, just bang, you know, those, you know, cymbal stabs. Like, great, I love all that. Just give me that. You know, that's another wonderful ending.
Also, one of my songs. And also,
it's not picked. It's just randomly. I'm just pulling out songs that I like. That I just, oh yeah, that song. Yeah, that sticks out. Like the song that stuck out. Apparently, I'm a fan of you.
Adrian actually texted me one evening saying that this is because he was listening to the album at home, and he texted me saying this is the best song I've ever played on. Like, what? How drunk are you right now? You know, he said he wasn't drunk, but yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So you've been involved in music for over 30 years, you know, from what, the Seance stuff to Satanic Slaughter to Witchery and the Haunted. Like you said, when you pick up the guitar and the guitar tone, do you have to be in a mood to write for a certain band when you pick up the guitar? Like, oh, I'm in Haunted mood today, or I'm in Witchery mood today, or they just start playing like, oh, this song should be for the Haunted, but it could go to Witchery, or vice versa.
And it's happened. So there's a good example of that. There's the first instrumental track, the first song on the Haunted Made Me Do It album, Dark Intentions. That is so The Haunted that it's almost become the doorbell, you know, signature of the band. And this must have been in 99, I guess. Witcher was going to do a show, a festival, I think, in Finland. Just a one-off show. And the drummer at the time couldn't do it. So Adrian jumped in to do it. So we were at a Witchery rehearsal with Adrian. And so this must have been right before Adrian left to join Cradle of Filth. So it has to be. And you know, people were tuning their guitars or something, and you know, I just got this idea, and then asked Adrian, "Can you just do the do thing?" And then I played the riff. And I have this thing: if a song wants to be written. Like the following riffs just come, by themselves. Then you have a good song. That song is a minute and a half. I think it took me 3 minutes to write it, and that's also one of the reasons to why I like rehearsing instead of coming up with something. Get the computer going, pull in drums, play the riff, and then you've kind of lost your trail of thought to the next, But anyway, the other guys in Witchery, they chimed in because they saw what I was playing and they followed, and everyone, yeah, this is super cool, and I was like, yeah. So I think this sounds more like the Haunted. They were like, boo. Yeah. So funny story that went to the Haunted, and me and Adrian wrote that song, or I wrote it with Adrian, and Adrian didn't play it on the album because Per played. So a little funny story.
Yeah, I gotta figure like some of those songs. I didn't think about it back then, but I was like, yeah, well, yeah. When he went to go Cradle, I don't know how soon I don't know how soon those songs were in the works before he left for Made Me Do It. So it's all
Only
Pear
that
to my
song.
ears.
Only that song. We were pretty disillusioned back then because we were on Earache, and we didn't. I think we only played 20 shows prior to Adrian leaving on an album that made it best newcomer all over the place. We had a great buzz going, but we couldn't get out to play shows. So he had left for Cradle. That's when we got the offer to open up for Testament, and that's when we asked Per, because we knew Invocator from Denmark. And when we had done that tour with Testament, we asked Per to, would you want to join? He said yes. So actually, only September to December. Those, what is that? 4 months? 5? 4?
Yeah.
That's what we wrote Haunted Made Me Do It, because we entered the studio in January. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I remember, like I said, I saw that show at the Birchill for all our New York, New Jersey fans. It's like, yeah, the Birchill. I saw The Haunted with Testament at the Birchill. And I think it was Marco's first time, too. It was like Marco and Pear. They were both like the new kids on the block for that record. And yeah, you guys have been, that lineup just like was etched in my brain. I was like, damn.
That was a great tour. I mean, people say that the Haunted, that first album, helped bring thrash back. I think the combination between that album, because it was a new band, so it caught people who like to discover new music. They had that band, and it was the same year that The Gathering came out by Testament. So an established thrash band brought back had also made a great thrash album, and that tour we did together was like, so there's something for the the old cats and the new kids. I think that worked together, and because times were rough in the 90s for thrash. So 99 was a good year for thrash, and since then a lot of thrash bands came back. I'm not saying it's thanks to us, but they're back, and they've never gone away since then.
You guys definitely inspired a lot of bands. I'll definitely say that from that era. You guys definitely inspired a lot of bands. Owe you a couple of nickels.
Okay.
And I look at the Haunted, the first record. I look at the self-titled, like that's very like it's a very, to me, I hear it as a crossover record, and it's like I hear like a lot of so there's some hardcore elements to it. There's some thrash stuff. It's like a melodic hardcore album, like in a lot of moments here with some like, oh, there's like guitars here, because there's vocally it sounds like a hardcore singer, like to like the New York hardcore style in my ears. And then there's a lot of like cool, like some of the songs have this just like kind of punkish, hardcore kind of vibe to it. And then there's like, oh yeah, there's some melodic like guitar work up in here, and it's like, oh. And then you guys went to Made Me Do It, and that just was like a thrashapalooza on that record. And I was just like, yes. And then One Kill Wonder, then when we got to One Kill Wonder, and for me, it was just like, it was heavy. It was just a dark record. It felt cold, but still heavy, like not in a negative way, but it just felt, the mood in that record was a very cold, gave me a cold feeling. And the production was great. Songs are wonderful. There's bars of clean vocal, clean singing Marco, and it was like it was just a rough record, like a hard brutal, but it wasn't like all the way fast all the time, because of course like DOA, it's the big standout for everybody on that record. So yeah, it's you guys made some smart videos. You guys made some fun videos back in the day. Those serial killer days were great.
We deliberately wanted to make a dirtier album because we thought The Hunter Made Me Do It. It sounded good, but it was too clean and lacked the bottom end. So when we recorded One Kill Wonder, we told Fredman that we need to make this dirtier and a bit more grim, if you will. And I know that drummer Pear, had a thing about this album because it has amazing drumming on it, and you can't really hear what he's doing. So that bummed him out a bit, I remember. But yeah, it served its purpose. It was the natural evolution of things, I guess. And then with the Revolver, of course, the Dolving was back. So, there's other things to explore. Like I mentioned that every album is like where the band is at that point. So that was what we wanted to write.
And yeah, like for a minute, I was like, oh man, like these records to me, like for a minute, I was like, what happened? It's like, what happened to like the aggression? The aggression just metamorphosized into a different mood. It was still there. It just wasn't like, oh, I want it to be like just fist banging, like, angry thrash metal. But with some of those records, like Revolver, kind of remind me of the first record, and it kind of had it had like that kind of, it was bright, but not. Yeah, it was it felt not like hopeful, but it felt like it gave you like a nice. You left that record feeling like, yeah, I feel kind of good,
But yeah, like 99 is on that album, and that's like a party song almost.
Yes.
Like you drink beer and destroy your house. So I guess that I see what you mean with it being a happier, lighter album, maybe.
Yeah, and it's like yeah, like I'm like I do enjoy the Dead Eye. Like I enjoy the Dead Eye. Like the Medication, that's a great song. That record, I like everything is like with that record. Everything is this, the that, and I thought that was it's like a interesting concept record to me. I don't know if you guys consider it a concept record, but it gives like a feeling. It gives like an interesting cycle from the first song to the last song on that record. You get a nice, you feel like you get a complete little story, like a mental story in it, just by the mood that record gives off.
Yeah, it is my favorite Haunted album. It has a dark mood to it, but the songs, it's not a concept album, but I absolutely know what you mean by it. It feels like it because the whole production, it's kind of, I don't know, complete in a way. You can't take certain elements out, or certain songs. You should listen to it in its entirety.
Yeah, it's not a record for singles. Some people are like, oh, like you can just listen to this song and that song, and the rest is filler. It's like that whole record has its own like an inner purpose to be played together. And then it's like, what do we got next? It's like, I'm just like going through the whole history because I got you for a minute, so I just want to run through like the verses. Like, what were you at like when you guys were doing verses? And the cover does it's like to me, it's a little subtle throwback to the first album cover, just because it's got the same kind of splotch look to it. And it's like, yeah, like, Morana Colossus, like I remember, like, again, it's like, yeah, like it gave me, it was like, yeah, there was, all right, cool, there's still elements of what I wanted just like at me personally. It's like, I just wanted more aggression. And I was like, we're getting it just in a different form. And I don't know how it was hard for me to process that one.
Yeah, it was, I think we were kind of at a crossroads there. Maybe some of the band members, me and Jonas have always been into metal. Him and I were always the one. Yeah, both will put out a new album, or Saxon, they're coming to town. We got to go check it out. And the others, maybe not so much. I think we were getting close to what that lineup had in terms of metal. So I think we ended up writing 21 songs for that album. And I think we recorded them all too. And we were a rehearsing band for way longer than any of our other Gothenburg contemporaries. They stopped rehearsing, they only rehearsed maybe before the album recording and before tour. We were, if we were home, if not every day, so every other day. Once we had gotten the sound with Tue and Madsen, we recorded all those songs live in 2 days, 21 songs. So that album is live in the studio. Well, solos came afterwards, of course, and vocals, but yeah, we were that well rehearsed at that point. But and it was also a challenge to choose songs. I remember, yeah. So there's a compilation CD that came with some kind of package. I don't know, something Damage, I think it was called something. I can't remember. Collateral Damage, actually. 6 songs that didn't make it on the album. So like that, that's almost a full album extra that came out afterwards. And the songs are very different. And that is what led into Unseen, because that was where the band was going. So things were changing. And then after Unseen, there's a lot of great songs on Unseen too. But after Unseen, that's when we kind of hit the road's end for many members, and that's why three members left me and Jonas, the heavy metal or the metal guys, left, and we got the other guys back, and they are all into metal, so that's why Exit Wounds sounds like it does.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard Exit Wounds, I was just a happy little kid again. I was like, Marco's back. I was like, I perked up. I was like, what? He's back? I was like, okay. Like, Adrian? That's like, he's never played on anything since the first record. Oh, snap, And then again, I was like, I'm like one of those guys, like, yeah, this is your catalog, and I'm a big legacy person. So like, I hate when bands like just forget certain eras of their career. I was like, no, like those records are part of your catalog. Like you should, like every record is somebody's first record, basically, So it's like, you never know what fan is there for what era. Some fans are either older school fans for you guys, some are newer, but yeah, there's people in the middle that were there. It's like, and it's, again, I do like, I don't know if call it a challenge, but it's always interesting. I like hearing interpretations, like, Marco's interpretation of Peter's songs, and like now it's cool to hear like drumming interpretations of Adrian playing Paris songs, even though it's the same band. It's like, okay, cool. How close is he playing it to his version, and like that.
I think, but yeah, he's putting his own touch on it. That's the liberty you have when you're the only person playing that instrument, like the bass or the drums. When you're on the guitar, you need to play what the guitars do, because it's such riff oriented music. And me being still in the band, the guitars are what they are. So Ola had to adapt. Solos, of course, he could do his way, but
I'm trying to remember what song was it. I think it was it 3 Times or Bullet Hole? I'm trying to it's Bullet Hole. Like, yeah, that one part in Bullet Hole where Peter just fires out that one verse and you guys are just going slow. And I remember Marco would just put the microphone in his pocket and just go like this. And that was so clever. It's like, that's a lot of words that's a lot to get through. And he was like, I'm coming back for victim. I was like, yeah, perfect. Yeah. Like he was, yeah, that's like one of my, just like some little memories, like this like fun memories I've had of this stuff, man. Like, dude, I appreciate your time, man. I'll let you go soon. I just have a few more for you. And sure. You've done fill-in work. I've seen you've done fill-in work and At the Gates for a moment a few years ago when somebody had to leave, and you had to fill in for a halo effect because somebody shouldn't be on tour for a while. Yeah. All respect to you for doing both jobs. How do you come into established bands like, I'm just playing guitar, I'm just filling, it's not as mentally stressful, you don't have to write anything, but how do you just like work on that stuff and make it feel authentic to the band?
I tried to, with the Halo Effect, I stay true to their vision, because, that Halo Effect is not so much, they're great riffs, great songwriting, but they're not such a riff-orientated band compared to The Haunted. So, it's more the music as a whole, and Mikael Stunne on vocals. That it's a different kind of fan, I think. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty different. Probably my experience from Halo Effect that opened up the To Bleed Out song, or else I wouldn't have thought of it. At the Gates, I had 4 days to learn the set, and also luckily their first. Was it? No, their last show on that run, I think I did 5 shows or something with them. That was in Japan. And it takes a long time to get a visa approved for Japan. And they were going to play the Love Park Festival, a 1-day festival, and so say there's 5 or 6 bands playing that night. Luckily enough, Halo Effect were playing that festival as well. So I had a visa. So it worked out perfectly. Like, okay, you do it, I can do it. And, flights were booked and everything. So, yeah, I'll do it. And, some of the songs we played live, like World of Lies and Blinded by Fear. So them I knew. I sat playing along to the album and, great production, absolutely, on that album. But sometimes you can't really hear what the rhythm guitar is doing. And I knew it was Anders playing. So I was going, man, Anders would probably do something like this. And, just did whatever because I've been playing his riffs for so many years. It just, locked in with the music I was playing along to. I just knew this would probably be what Anders would do. And it was just there. So learning that stuff was really easy. Well, easy. But it was, I had 4 days. Halo Effect, I had a few months. So, but yeah. I like jumping into doing stuff. I also filled in for Machine Head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to. They were playing a show in Stockholm, opening up for Metallica, sold out, biggest indoor place in Sweden. And their bass player had to Adam, his name is right or
At
was
the time, yeah, Adam.
He had to fly back home for some I don't know some reason, and they had my number, asked me for numbers for Swedish bass players. They got them. Me and the Haunted had played a festival, so me and Jonas flew back and into Stockholm actually. And when we got there, Machine Head were there picking up their instruments off the belt. And I went like, "Did you find anyone?" "Oh, no." And well, I could maybe try, if you're desperate, which they were. And 45-minute set. Had to learn the whole set in 2 days on a bass. And it was a round stage, Metallica's round stage. Never played that before. Never played with in-ears before. The in-ear monitor guy didn't know what I needed. I didn't have, those molded in-ear things. So I just had the whatever, the ear protection, the squeezy kind. They had popped out. I couldn't hear anything, but I only played one mistake, and that was a very noticeable mistake. So the last song they played was "Hallowed Be Thy Name" by Iron Maiden. And it starts out very calm, boom, da, 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 boom, and it's, I don't know, 40 open A strings, boom, and then they go, at 5 o'clock, that's where you change. I could hear any vocals. I'm like, am I on 38 or 39 now? I don't know. Okay, it's here. I just had to decide it's here. Doom. I'm like, no, oh, no. So pretty good with just 2 days prepared. I also played with Brujeria.
Yeah, you've gotten around live, man. And that makes you. I think that versatility of being able to learn stuff that short notice, and obviously more time is better, but that does make you very useful to be able to do that short notice stuff.
Hard worker, and I don't have to play solo, so that that helps.
Nice. So I gotta ask, what made you pick up a guitar?
So I grew up in Canada, and there was this phone salesman that called the house one day, and for music school. I was 7 years old at the time, and does young Patrik want to learn an instrument? And I said, yeah. And they had 2 instruments to choose from, and I had a really hard time choosing. It was the guitar and the harmonica, squeeze box.
Accordion,
yeah, accordion. And I had a really hard time choosing, believe it or not. But I chose guitar because I had seen Elvis Presley on TV, and I knew that he played guitar. So, okay, I'm going to play guitar. And that class, even though we were so young, everyone had an electric guitar. So I got my first electric guitar when I was 7. And played guitar there for a year or 2. We moved back to Sweden. I had to, the music school then only had acoustic guitars, and you had to sit like this and play with your fingers, and I thought it was super boring, so I just stopped going. And then a couple of years later, when I started 7th grade, something had happened that summer. Everyone came back and had Judas Priest and Iron Maiden patches everywhere, and I borrowed I think it was For Those About to Rock, that vinyl. I borrowed it from a friend, put it on at home, and heard. I mean, it's chords, it's AC/DC, and this is stuff I know. So I found the old guitar, brought it out, and I could play along to it. And from then on, I was hooked.
Cool. Well, if you happen to have in your archive of merchandise, if you happen to have any double X like Swedish ass fuck shirts or any of those shirts, yeah. My ex I had the hoodie from back I had the black hoodie from back then. My ex had that's gone to the ether, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be hunting on eBay for stuff. You never know what turns up.
Yeah.
All right, man. Mr. Patrik, you have a good night, man. I appreciate you again so much. And yeah, man, it's really nice catching up, and I'm excited for this record. And
it's all good, man. I had a fun time. It was cool.
Thank you so much, bro.
And I'll see you. We're going to play New York sometime.